Yeah, you know what time it is, my brothers and sisters. We're going to be having a powerful construction build once again with my brother Martin Kenny, with as it pertains to Lumen consciousness, the secrets of ascension and expansion. We're going to be going in with the esoteric wisdom and knowledge as it pertains to consciousness. So, stay tuned. You know the formalities. So let's get back to the timeless classics of the original Supreme Natural Intelligence anthem. Let's go! You know what time it is? Time to break it down. Yeah. Supreme Natural Intelligence is in the fire of truth sanctuary. Lumen consciousness. Time to break it down. Woo. Sheesh. We going in. Let's stop it right there. And you know the formalities, get the introduction on, and we're going to be doing a powerful construction build with brother Martin Kenny again. The brother that we're having a discussion as it pertains to the New World Order, the great reset and reboot of consciousness. That's the same brother we're going to be building indirectly again through the information of consciousness. So stay tuned. Let's go. Fire blaze! Yo, banging on the beat, breaking the concrete, defeating demons on a daily basis, glowing radiance, raising the consciousness to the most high status, lumen lyrical brightness, supreme natural intelligence. There's no coincidence that I'm rocking, feeding the knowledge to the masses. That's in youth, always speak the fire of truth, wisdom. Life is about growth and development, so build your light for the tests in life. Never give up, never let up. That's what's up. You know what time it is. So push forward, elevate your mind in the sun and rise.
Check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimal of mathematical root radicals. So see this, I mean this, the fire of truth. From the sheer might, the fire of truth. Preach, teach, the fire of truth.
Just levitate, levitate, keep your head straight. Just levitate, levitate. Even if the world is so cold, we just levitate, levitate. Shed these lies.
Polished, cottage, wattage, introducing the wicked sky body, natural Nathan, representing Sunz of light. Introducing the wicked sky body, natural Nathan, representing Sunz of light. God, believe in God, believe in God, believe in God.
Yeah. Introducing lowercase God body, natural Nathan, representing Sunz of light. Intricate lyricism, just kicking, just kicking. Promise, paying homage to Mother, Father, honor, as above, so below, as below, so above. Show love to the flow, which is gold. So what you waiting for? Take your face off the floor, walk through the door, soar like you're born, children of the Most High. So get fly. Truth blazing as always, my brothers and sisters. Welcome back to another Live Blaze broadcast brought to you by your solar sovereign sun, the radiant one, supreme natural intelligence, intelligence, intelligenetics. As I said before at the start, We're going to be doing a powerful construction build with Brother Martin Kenny, again, as it pertains to Lumen consciousness. The secrets of the esoteric wisdom as it pertains to life, the light. What is the purpose of life? Why are we here? We're going to be breaking it down. And we're going to be adding on to the construction build upon Martin Kenny's information as it pertains to consciousness. I've already broken down how life works through the very beginning, through how life works overall. I've already broken down to give my own spin on it and how it works. And I'm going to be filling in the gaps that I see within Martin Kenny's explanation on consciousness. I'm going to be adding on. So let's go. So as always, become triumphant like an elephant. Let nature be your guide. Listen to reason. Rays from the sun and listen to wisdom. Become triumphant like an elephant. An elephant is triumphant because of the big ears. Master listeners. When you break down listener, as always, I always tell you about this. Listen, when you break it down, means to list, enter. List, enter. List inside. List, enter. Take notes. So let's get it started. It's all about the light. Your light is your life. So let's go with it.
The occult metaphysics of expansion and ascension. Most people now know the human being is made up of three core structures: the mind, body, and soul. The mind and body seem to now be reasonably well understood, but the soul structure still appears to be somewhat an enigma.
Let me stop it there for a moment. I want to add something to here before we continue. We're going to be adding to the construction build of what he's saying here. He's saying there's three cores to the human body. I'm going to say there's four. We have to get to the root and source to it all. When you break this down, the mind is the primal source to all things. Because as one of the principles of the universe, the universal principles is what? One of the universal principles is what? The laws of the universe. It's mentalism. So that's there. What projects the mentalism? The power of the mind. What projects that? It's spirit. Spirit is what? Breath. Different frequencies of life. That's what spirit is. So before the soul can come into existence, spirit is before the soul. Because the soul is a compilation, it's a combination of spirits in one. That's the add-on portion I want you to get crystal clear. So it's actually four parts. Mind, body, or mind, spirit, soul, body. Mind, spirit, soul, body. So let's continue with the construction build now. Let's see what else he's saying here.
I'm going to try to break down these three structures with particular
I just want to add something briefly for a moment too. Emotions. What is emotions? Different vibrations of energy. Different vibrations of consciousness. Energy in motion. That goes in tandem with spirit. Because there's many different spirits, many different energies. When spirit is flowing, that's energy in motion. When spirit is moving in a certain way, a certain rhythm and pattern, that's energy in motion. So let's continue here. So let's go back and let's listen to this clearly.
Understood body. The occult metaphysics of expansion and ascension. Most people now know the human being is made up of three core structures: the mind, body, and soul. The mind and body seem to now be reasonably well understood, but the soul structure still appears to be somewhat an enigma. I'm going to try to break down these three structures with particular reference to the soul structure and present them, hopefully in an easily digestible manner. Let's start with the mind. Firstly, all is mind. The mind is the eternal element of our being. This is what is commonly known as consciousness in living beings. Consciousness is a self-aware energy that operates on a universal sine wave amplitude in something called the ether field. The ether field is where all information in existence exists and operates from. This is what some might call the monad, counter space, or heaven. Consciousness can also be described as frequency. Frequency simply being universal electromagnetism, light, sound, and vibration. Some might call this source energy, or the creator, or simply God. In essence,
God, when you go to its etymology, it's Elohim, Alahim, simply meaning power, authority, mighty one. So power is already a designation of energy. We are smaller powers as humans. We're smaller powers or smaller gods as humans. To bring clarity to you.
God is not a single entity, but rather the sum of everything in existence, both physically and metaphysically.
That's the Most High Power. In their complete totality, the Most High Power, God, is the combination of almighty nature. Everything from almighty nature, from the terrestrial plane of existence to the celestial plane of existence. Everything you see in existence through the holographic universe that we live in, through the projection, reflection, deflection, and refraction of the white light, which allows everything to be in its own organization of sacred geometry, which is supreme mathematics, or in other words, the individuality, the division, the separation, the competition, the uniqueness, the diversity, the versatility of life. That's what it is. The Most High Power partitioned themselves into pieces to experience life in different angles of the Most High. Let me rewind that. Let's make sure it's clear. The Most High is running an experiment to experience life in different angles of light. Are you catching on? The Most High Power created different forms of life that is below itself to experience different situations subjectively through different angles of light in the cipher of life. We're going to break this down thoroughly so you understand what's really going on here. You're going to be getting the supreme intelligence today. It's an indirect construction built with Martin Kenny's breakdown on consciousness. I'm adding on to the build with my side so we can make this completion, so you can see the complete cipher of life and what's going on here. We're living in the matrix, made up tricks, a simulation. In fact, a simulation within a simulation. As we operate in this matrix of the concrete jungle, the original matrix is almighty nature, the natural state that the Most High intended. But human has made another matrix within a matrix, another simulation within a simulation. So let's continue. There was a movie on that. I don't recall what it was called. Was it with Leonardo DiCaprio? It was a mental movie where you went into a dream and then there was different layers of dreams. What was that movie called? That's what this life is, essentially. We're here to gain experience. It's about growth and development. If any of you know what movie I'm talking about, where you go into different dimensions of your own dreams, and you see all these different realities, what movie was that called? So let me continue here. Whoever's in the building, Brother Ahmed, I see you. Solar God, I see you. So let's continue.
Hence the theological expression, God is all around us, the Alpha and the Omega. Alpha in reference to all-encompassing space, and Omega in reference to eternal time. In human...
That's infinity and eternity. Infinity represents everywhere in space. Eternal represents all time. Infinite and all time. Remember, what did the Christians tell us? The Bible say, the Most High Power God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Omnipresent is everywhere. Omniscient is all-knowing. Omnipotent is all-powerful. What can be connected to that? Source energy, source blackness, which is the supreme dimension. It's the supreme dimension potential of all dimensions. In other words, it's called nothing. The layman would call it nothing. When they see blackness, they would call it nothing. Nothing is actually everything. Nothing is just not discernible to us in this form. Nothing is not discernible to us in this form, but nothing is actually the potential to everything. As soon as the white light projects itself out by bending all the forms of light energy within, refracting, bending, reflecting, deflecting, which creates this holographic universe, the projection of the white light through the projection of the sun. It creates all of life. It all starts with the mind. Mind comes up with an intention. The Most High Power is a supreme mind. The Most High Mind. The supreme intellect is the Most High Mind. When the mind comes up with an intention, it creates intelligence of thoughts. Thought intelligence. Thought intelligence forms structure as the thoughts combine in organization. That thought combination creates sound, light, words. Words, sound, light, and as they crystallize, it creates a prism of all of life. Prison, when you go deeper, it could be seen as a prison, because when you bring separation, it creates division. We're breaking it down today, brothers and sisters. Sheesh.
What? Slow motion this side.
Sheesh. I'm going to show and prove why I'm supreme natural intelligence. No more doubts. You're going to get the supreme natural intelligence today. Building with Martin Kenny's information as well here to add on. So now that you comprehend that, in the beginning, they say it was the word, but it was really the thought first. Correctly, it's the thought. Then when thoughts come together, it creates words, which crystallize into matter. I've already broken down the seven principles of the universe. When we're talking about energy, energy is what? Magnetism, feminine aspect, predominantly. Electricity, masculine aspect, predominantly. Light / sound. The friction of sex between electricity and magnetism produces light and sound. Sound and light. Because once there's movement, it creates sound and light. So light and sound is next. They're basically brothers and sisters, or however you want to look at the brother, they come at the same. They're twins in a way. Brothers and sisters. So magnetism, electricity, light / sound, ether / plasma. That's when crystallization begins. Things become to be seen more. Ether / plasma, brothers and sisters, or whatever, however you want to see it. Gases, liquids, solids. That all comes from intention, thought, thoughts forming structure, organization, crystallizing into words. Words crystallize, those go form into action. It forms into sacred geometry division. The omnipresent, omnipotent, and the omnipotent and omniscient energy decides to come out of its eternal state, its infinity state, to take on a specific sequence of organization structure, a specific team of uniqueness that's separating itself from the all to a certain degree. Nothing is truly separated. However, it makes itself more separated through the projection of the white light, the refraction, the reflection, the deflection of the white light, which allows it to be visible and seen and discernible to our eyes as we live as a limited physical existence on this plane of existence called Earth. So let's continue with Martin here.
Human beings, this God essence of energy, eternal time, all-encompassing space, the Alpha and the Omega. Hence the theological expression, God is all around us, the Alpha and the Omega. Alpha in reference to all-encompassing space, and Omega in reference to eternal time. In human beings, this God essence of energy is manifest as an intelligent electromagnetic frequency we call the conscious mind. And of course, the individual conscious mind has a direct link to the universal source ether field via the electromagnetic sine wave spectrum all around us. The process of thinking is simply one's conscious mind tuning or dialing into certain frequencies for information from the universal ether field. However, despite popular assumption, the process of thinking does not begin in our brains, but actually in our hearts through our intent.
The brain is only the hardware of the supreme mind. The brain is only the hardware portion that accesses the mind. We have multiple brains in our body. In fact, every cell in our body is a brain. They all work together to form larger brains, which is, the main one that regulates everything in the body is the conscious one, the consciousness. Your mainframe brain that is in your dome, your skull. We got the heart is a brain, which is closer to the source. It actually goes closer to the energy in motion. Energy in motion. The heart accesses the energy in motion, which is the spirit, coming from the thought, the intention of the supreme consciousness, the supreme mind. That's what you need to comprehend here. And our gut. If you look at our gut, it looks just like a brain. Intestines looking like a brain. So we got 3 major brains. The one in your head, the one in your core where your solar plexus is, your solar part, solar is the sun, and your gut, the lower side. But overall, in reality, every cell in your body is a micro brain. As above, so below. As above, so below, as within, also outside, without. Everything is corresponding and connected together. That's the second principle of the universe after the mind. Mentalism, correspondence. Vibration, rhythm, polarity, cause and effect, generation. Mentalism. This is the universal principles of life. Mentalism. Correspondence. Rhythm. Polarity. Cause and effect. Gender. All of those are the 7 principles. So you got to keep that in mind. So let's move on.
Intent.
Polarity. Polarity is the 7th. Another one I forgot to add in. Polarity.
search engine of a living being. Our actions stem from our thoughts stem from our heart's desires, intent, and our intention. Our thoughts stem from being. Our actions stem from our thoughts, engine of a process of thinking does not begin in our brains, but actually in our hearts through our intent. Intent is the original search engine of a living being. Our actions stem from our thoughts stem from our heart's desires, intent, and our intentions are determined by our level of conscious awareness. Of course, we now know there are 4 states of conscious awareness: the unconscious, the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind. In essence,
keep in mind, remember that 4 is a sacred number of sacred geometry in this life. Everything is made up with 4 pillars of life. This whole reality is based on 4. It's structured and organized through 4. You got 4 fingers. When you look at math, you got multiplication, subtraction, addition, division. You got height, length, width, depth. Just that alone shows you that everything is made up of 4 at its fundamental core and foundation. It's 4 represents the pillar of life, the structure that makes up life. It's made up of 4 pairs. The 2's form pairs. They make up the pillar of life that holds everything together. The cube that holds everything together. You can look this up yourself. That's what you have to keep in mind with the the esoteric knowledge of 4. Everything is made up of 4s. Your senses, 4. You got all your 4 senses are here. Touch is the source of all your senses. However, the other senses are 4. It's consistent across the board. We got 4 seasons. You keep going on and on and on because that's what life is made up. Or it's made up out of the pillars of 4. It's the composition of life itself that holds life together. It's 4.
Conscious mind is not just in our brains, but also in our... In essence, a conscious mind is not just in our brains, but also in our hearts and indeed our whole being. A thought is first manifest in the heart, then transmitted into the brain, which then processes the information, and finally our bodily organs converts it into action. The condition of one's heart, intent, determines the nature of information one searches for. The condition of one's brain's programming determines the quality and accuracy of which that information will be filtered and processed. The sum condition of one's intent, heart, plus one's processing, brain function, is what we call intelligence. And of course, the condition of one's bodily organs obviously determines the final outcome of actioning one's intellectual interpretation. We've all heard the saying, I am because I think because I am. The best comparative example of what I've just explained is the internet and computers. In fact,
and that's essentially what the essence of the Most High is. The Most High is the great I am. Everything you say after I am, you are. Let's break it down for you to make this very crystal clear. It says in the scriptures, when Moses came and asked for the name of the God that was speaking, right? He said, I am. I am that I am. I am omnipresent. I am omniscient. I'm omnipotent. I can be whatever I want to be. I am that I am. I can be whatever I want to be because I am the Supreme One. I am the Supreme Most High Architect, the Supreme Intelligence, the all-powerful being that could be everywhere at all places at all time. I'm the reason life exists because I separate I separate pieces of my infinite being, my eternal being, and create you, which you are a piece of me. Therefore, I am you, acting in amnesia as a human being. Life is a mirror. Everything is a projection, reflection, refraction, and deflection. You are just an angle of light coming from me, who's in a physical limitation of a human being. I created you so I could experience life in a lower, weakened, compartmentalized, subjective state. I'm here to gain experience through you. I'm reminding you that you are me, just in a smaller formation. You ain't ready, brothers and sisters. I'm Supreme Natural Intelligence for a reason. So let's continue. Slow motion this side. So when he said, Ahaya, Ashar Ahaya, I am that I am. And then when you break down further, Yahweh, the tetragrammaton, the word that shouldn't be said, right, is basically a compilation of all of that. Yah, portion of I am. Yahuwah, I am that I am. Yahweh, however pronunciation you want to use, at the end of the day, it simply means Ahaya, which is the root word of all of it. The root word of that is Ahaya, I am. If I want to be this, I could become that. If I want to be that, I could become that. I am everywhere. So the only name that you could call the Most High Being is the Great I Am. Because the Great I Am could be anything they want to be. Because they're the totality of Almighty Nature. Terrestrially and celestially. You're in fact looking at yourself in the mirror. Just like your cells, just like your individual cells, look up to you in totality. Let that sink in. When your individual cells pray and look up to you in a complete totality, they say you as the Most High Power. Human beings look up as a cell, looking up to the universe, when it's really you in totality. Your cells are just a piece of you, a partition, a fragment, a compartment of you. When all the cells come together and form an ecosystem, an earthly plane, a temple, which is a projection in a micro scaling of the earth, because an earth is only a projection, a reflection, a refraction and deflection of us in many different forms and variations through the various different lights, projected through the white light. Shit! Slow motion, man. Where you at, Ralph? Sheesh.
What? Slow motion this side.
Where you at, Saw?
Go in. Have the Israelite mind.
It's a beast in this motherfucker. You can feel the energy.
Sheesh. You ain't ready, bro. This brother's arrogant. How come he thinks he knows everything? What is what to this dude? I want to listen. This guy thinks he's arrogant and knows everything. You can't dispute what I'm saying. I'm breaking this down from the very beginning. Why this is here. Why do I know this? Because I'm the chosen one. I'm elect. Just as Martin has a piece of the information as well, and he breaks it down in his way. And I'm adding on and making this complete.
In fact, computers and the internet are a physical manifestation of the metaphysical reality I've just described.
Whoo! Sheesh! Break it down, brother Martin. Break it down! Sheesh! All technology is a projection, reflection, refraction, and deflection of you. You are the original organic technology, brothers and sisters. Breakdown technology. Supreme Natural Intelligence, esoterically. Take knowledge from G, God, source, power, information. Everything a computer is, it's you. Internet is collective consciousness. When the people come together, one mind, one accord, that's the internet. Organically. We come together communicating with one another, that's the organic natural internet. When we do this artificially, computers connect, called the internet. Interconnection That's internet. Interconnection. Sacred energy exchange. Sex. Sex is in everything. Everything is connecting. That's sex. You have to have sex, sacred energy exchange, to manifest, to bring things into fruition, to create.
We all know the internet does not have a rigid space, time, or shape. It is omnipresent, meaning it exists everywhere, all the time. Easily accessible if one has the right tools.
Yep. Let's stop it right there. That's why they're setting up the New World Order. We talked about this previously. The New World Order, the Great Reset, the reboot, because they want to implement the Genesis AI system. So they could be like the Most High. So they could be omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, artificially through technology. They're expanding themselves through technology to get to be like the Most High God, who is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. You're seeing as above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. As without, also within. You're seeing how these principles are connecting. The law of correspondence. The law of rhythm. The law of polarity. The law of vibration. The law of cause and effect. The mind causes everything. And through the mind makes the effect. The power of the mind makes the effect. What goes around comes around. Karma. Vibrations. Movements. Rhythms. For every action there's a reaction. Gender. Masculine, feminine. Gender breaks down to generation. Because what's the purpose of gender? Gender is to create. To manifest. To bring things into materialistic form. Gender, in other words, generation, production, manufacturing of self. Partitioning pieces of yourself and creating a new material existence of a life. Whether you do it artificially or organically. Technology is like that, does the same thing. It manufactures itself. This is an artificial way. It's all a reflection, all a projection, refraction, deflection. Operating from different angles, angles of light within the cipher of life. You ready? Shit. Let's continue this, man.
The internet is comparatively a physical manifestation of eternal source energy.
Yep.
Of course, we all know computers need signals and transmitters to access the internet, just like humans need intentions and thoughts to access the ether field. And just like in humans, satellite signal antennas are the heart of the internet, where it all begins. The job of the satellite signal antenna is to make connection with the computer. At this point, information is then transmitted, usually via Ethernet cables, into a programmed computer microchip for processing. This is the same exact process that occurs within the human mind frame. In humans, our intent is like the satellite signal, our thoughts are like the Ethernet cable, and our brains are like the computer microchip that processes the transmitted information. Satellite signal towers, antennas, and microchips are what we might call a computer's software. And likewise,
let me stop this for a moment. Solar God, you gotta listen thoroughly. Listen. Computers are a projection of the organic technology of our bodies. Artificial. What does artificial mean? Artificial, when you break it down, is to get the physical materials on the planet and make it into a new version, a new variation of ourselves. Technology is only another version of ourselves through the materials of the planet. That is artificial and not organic. That is not naturally created from the Most High. It's artificially created through other means, through man. Man is doing it artificially. They're doing the same thing the Most High did for us. The Most High created us. Man is doing the same thing. Man is acting as God, creating and molding Cyborgs, androids, computers. Same thing. Everything is connected, solar god. AI is useless without electricity. I could say the same thing for life itself. Humans, insects, microorganisms, animal life are useless without electrons, protons, neutrons, source of energy. You won't be able to perform animation and move and even to think without energy. So same thing applies to us. So what are you talking about, solar god? Everything is connected. You're missing the laws here. Correspondence, brother solar god, with all due respect. Correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Listen. Do not try to come here trying to debate. Listen to what's being said. Everything is connected. We are creating androids, cyborgs. We are the gods for them. Just as the Most High Power created all of life here. Same thing. It's all a mirror.
In humans, our hearts, brains, and cells are. In humans, our process computer microchipped, usually via the computer. The job of the satellite signal antenna is to make connection with the computer. At this point, information is then transmitted usually
Handshake,
via
hug,
Ethernet cable
sex.
into a programmed computer microchip for processing.
Ethernet cable,
This is the same exact
USB,
process that occurs within the human
router,
mind. In humans,
router.
our intent is like satellite signal.
CPU chip. CPU chip is the brain. Motherboard. The body. The way charge moves is through the hydroplasma of the body. Minerals conduct the charge. Computers are the same thing as us, just artificial. Androids are the same, just artificial. The intelligence that the consciousness and intelligence that these computers, these androids, and get is the internet. It's the information. By God, it's the same thing. We're giving them information. You got to see this, solar god, brother Ahmed. You're probably gonna have to watch this lab lay several times over to really get it. I'm doing it as simple as possible. I'm doing this with an indirect construction build with Martin Kenny. Look at his channel, Pineal Foundation, powerful brother. I support his information and what he's teaching, but I have to add on and complete his information with this breakdown, so you have a complete understanding what's going on.
Our thoughts are like the Ethernet cable, and our brains are like the computer microchip that processes the
CPU.
transmitted information. Satellite signal towers, antennas, and microchips are what we might call
Graphics card, visuals. A car is the same thing. If we look at a car, vehicles, they're made up the same way. All technology is pretty much made the same way. It's all a projection from our bodies. Everything in this planet is connected to correspondence. Everything is related. Even though it may appear different with a certain angle of light, but when you get to the root essence, it's all connected. We're in an illusion of separation. We're living in an illusion of separation through the projection of the white light, which refracts, bends, and the light is competing with each other. The Roy G. Biv color spectrum and beyond is competing for space. That's why we see all these variations and diversities of life. Different egos on the planet, different perspectives and perceptions. We're experiencing life subjectively through our own angle of light experience within the cipher of life. Some people are here when we look at the cipher. Some people over here, here, 360 degrees. Progressive, or some people are in opposite polarity. which is counterintelligence, counter, the opposite of it. Some people are progressive intelligence, some people are counterintelligence. Some people are good, some people are bad. Different angles of light. Angels, demons. Higher vibration forces, lower vibration forces. Everything is polarity, rhythm. This, brothers and sisters, you gotta comprehend this. So let's continue.
A computer's software. And likewise, in humans, our hearts, brains, and cells are our human.
I'm not debating, just saying what you're saying is true. It's all good, brother. I'm just teaching. I'm not assuming you're debating, I'm just letting you know. Listen, just listen.
Human software. Comparatively, a computer's mainframe is similar to that of a human body. A computer screen is comparatively similar to the face of a human. The cameras are like eyes, speakers like ears, and the keypads like fingers. All of the above are what we might call hardware in computers and bodily organs in humans. Both computer and human hardware and software rely on intelligent conscious energy to initiate and activate action for a virtual reality of experience to happen. To summarize my analogy, the function of a computer is dependent first on the strength of signal, heart, then the quality of transmission, thoughts, then the processing capacity, brain, and then the quality of hardware, body. Now, naturally, human beings have varying degrees of intent, heart, and processing, brain function. Someone with pure intent, heart, is likely to search for purer information. And if that someone has healthy brain function to process that information, it is likely that the information will be less filtered, therefore closer to source truth. This source truth is what we might call knowledge. And as we all know, knowledge is power. Knowledge empowers us by expanding our conscious awareness. Knowledge is the currency that fuels our conscious awareness, which in turn heightens our perspective of life experience. The purer our intentions are, the purer our thoughts will be. The purer our thoughts, the purer the knowledge we receive. And of course, the purer the knowledge, the purer our actions should be. The sum total of the above results in one being purely intelligent within their whole being. Pure intelligence fuels more processing power to further access purer and purer information, thus creating a perpetual cycle of conscious expansion and awareness in oneself. The meaning of life is for us to expand our conscious awareness beyond the limits of our current paradigm, thereby allowing us to ascend into a higher paradigm of experience. This is what some might call drawing one's mind closer to God or source energy.
Organic into that mainframe of mighty nature, right?
The body.
Spirituality.
The body is the most obvious for, well, obvious reasons. The physical body exists within a state of what we call matter. Unlike the mind, which is a metaphysical aspect of our being consisting of light, sound, and electromagnetic waves, the body is made up of tangible chemical compounds consisting of particles, atoms, and molecules that are physically quantifiable.
Let me stop it right there. Just to remind you, the elements that make up the universe, what is an element when you break it down? God's mentality. It's the force of God's power. Elements are the force of God's power. El represents, when you look at the Hebrew, it's short for Elohim. El is God or his power. Ment, M-E-N-T, is short for mind, mentality. So the power of your mentality. First principle of the universe. Universe is created through mind. Everything is mind. Magnetism, electricity, light, sound, ether, plasma, gases, liquids, solids. The human body is made up of all of those compilations, the totality of all of those things, as is all of life is. When death happens, that's when you lose all that composition and you break down to the most basic form. That's what death is. When your life breaks down, it goes back to basic materials, foundational base materials, and into even broken down form. When we have life, we're an organization, we're in unity with all of these energies. When we're going to death in a physical body, all of these elements break down and separate and go back to the earth as nourishment and minerals to refuel the other life. We become raw materials again. The electricity in us comes out and gets siphoned out. Magnetism siphons out. The light, sound siphoned out. Ether, plasma siphoned out. Gases, liquids, solids that our body's made up siphoned out, separated to be recycled into the planet. That's death. And then our soul, which is eternal and infinite, our soul, our spirit of our soul is infinite. It goes back to the oneness, or it goes back to a dimension to review the life experience that you just took part in, and it decides whether it wants to manifest back to learn the lessons or to do better in life, or incarnate into another dimension to learn the lessons in that dimension or that reality or that district of another life, another world. That's what life is, to experience. It's experimental. It's experiencing different things to understand yourself. Your cells. You're a compilation of cells. Your cells are a compilation of molecules. Molecules are a compilation of atoms. Atoms go back to pure energy. Pure, radical, infinite, eternal, unified energy that forms blackness. That is the totality and ever expansion of everything. The infinite potential of everything. The waters of noon is the infinite waters of blackness that creates the potential. White light projects that potential kinetically through different light vibrations, which creates distinction, separation, individuality, egos, different forms of life, perspectives, perceptions within the cipher of life. We are all an angle of light, angel of light, experiencing life itself subjectively to learn a lesson, to experience for growth and expansion and ascension.
The mind element of us is eternally consistent, regardless of space and time, whereas the physical element of us is impermanent and transient. In other words,
polarity is here. Polarity is here because it needs to be here in order for life to exist. If there wasn't polarity, you wouldn't be able to do nothing here. There has to be polarity. Opposites. Polarity exists for that very reason, to produce animation, movement. Life can't move without polarity.
our consciousness remains as a frequency regardless of where, when, or what it's in.
Some people may see it as good or bad. It's all perspective and perception. It's polarity. The purpose of polarity, good and bad, is to make you grow and develop and learn something. You can't grow if there's no polarity, if there's no competition, there's no adversity, there's no barriers, blockades, and fortresses. You can't grow. So what's the point of life? You're here to experience, to grow, to expand, to ascend, to learn. When you learn, you earn, you know, you grow. That's how you must flow in life. When you eat right, you will think right, you will know right. That's how you live right. And that's gonna accelerate your growth. when you operate in the realm of righteousness. When you operate in the universal 7 principles of morals: truth, justice, balance, harmony, reciprocity, propriety. Hold on. Truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, propriety. 7 deadly sins is the opposite of that. Essentially, it's pretty much the opposite of it. Sloth, laziness, lust, greed, gluttony, wrath, envy, pride. When there's truth, there gotta be lies. Because you have to be challenged to find the truth. When there's truth, there's lies. The middle portion of truth and lies. What's the middle portion of truth and lies? Because what? There's protons, positive, electrons, negative, neutrons. What's the neutrons? Neutrons are deception. It's a mixture of truth and lies. So are you starting to get this, brothers and sisters? So at an atomic level, it teaches us the principles and why things are organized the way they are. So when you look at an atom, you see the breakdown. Neutron represents center. Protons, positive charge. Electrons, negative. How's that correlated into morals? Morals, positive proton, truth. Electrons, if you want to connect the metaphor with it. Lies. The middle ground, the neutron. Deception, which is a combination of both. That's how you could parallel this so you can understand what's going on. Everything is connected. Everything has a relation. Everything has a structure and order to it.
However,
all of it is set up for you to learn, experience, and grow, as Martin is breaking down with consciousness here. So let's continue and get through this.
the body energy structure transmutes from one state to another in relation to the space and time it interacts and exists within. Of course, the mind is within a consistent and constant frequential wave of energy, whereas the human physical body has many complex chemical compounds in various forms of structure, like solids, liquids, and gases, for example. The body is physically tangible, outwardly, with our common senses. Therefore, it is easier to study by physical observation and experimentation.
That's what life is all about. Being your own scientist. Observing nature, which is God, Almighty God and manifest, for you to learn and to ascend back to the Most High state. You're here, your primal goal on this planet, on this planet is to be your own scientist. Experience, learn, study, and grow. The essence of your life is to grow, to become better. Whatever your endeavor may be, the essence of life is to get better. And also to overcome your weaknesses. Because your weaknesses are the challenge to you. It's your greatest rival. That's why they say the greatest enemy is yourself. There is no enemy outside of you. The only enemy you have is yourself. Because you're fighting against your 7 deadly sins. You're fighting against yourself. The temptations. When you sin, you are breaking the wave. You're breaking your wave. That's why the Bible calls it sin. When you go into this esoteric knowledge and science, when you sin, you are breaking the sine wave. You're cutting it. You're cutting off your movement when you sin. Are you getting it? Because a sine wave is vibration, it is rhythm, it is electromagnetism. It's sound and light moving. If you sin, you do wrong, you're cutting your movement, your progression. You're here to overcome your demons, debilitations, and weaknesses. That's why it's called sin. You're breaking the sine wave, your movement, your progression. You want to keep it moving. You want to keep progressing. This is why I'm called Supreme Natural Intelligence. I'm not acting and fronting. I know what the heaven I'm talking about. And he knows the word. I'm not saying I don't know the hell I'm talking about, because hell is low. It's low vibration. I know what the heaven I'm talking about because I'm operating in the supreme most high state. I'm connected to the all, so I know the heaven what I'm talking about.
Said that processing the observations we make through interpretation is where it gets complicated. Because, as I already stated, processing information requires intent, heart, and brain function processing. For instance, in the case of diseases, we are usually easily able to determine the effect of a disease, but not always the cause. When we're able to intelligently determine the real cause of a bodily disease, we can then take necessary action to ease the dis-ease with great effect and minimal adverse affect. All dis-ease is simply the effect of a reaction caused by an initial reaction. As
for every action is a reaction. Let me further break this down for you, brothers and sisters. I always tell you, every time I do my health videos, what is disease? Disease, as you see, he separates the D-I-S from the E's. Disease, the D-I-S, what does that mean? Disconnected. Distant from your ease. How do you get back to ease? Intellectual balance, equilibrium, proactive homeostasis. Proactive balance, in other words. When you go into extremes, you go into disease. When you get too much of something, you go into a disease. When you get too little of something, you go into a disease. It's all about that synergistic equilibrium. I don't think you heard me. It's all about that synergistic, unified equilibrium. You get too much of it, that's seven deadly sins of greed, gluttony, that leads to disease. Too little of something, you're not nourishing yourself properly, therefore you're going to get disease too. Let's go to the scriptures. What is a disease according to the scriptures? To be disconnected from God or distant from God. What did the Bible call it? Curse. Scriptures call it a curse. Curse is to be disconnected from God or distant from God. It's hard for you to receive the transmission of the Supreme Most High State. That's why you're operating in corruption. You're operating in a broken sine wave that is all over the place. It's chaotic. Shit. Ooh. Ooh. Oh my goodness, man. Am I still being heard? I don't hear myself. Hold up. Hold up. Oh my goodness, man. One moment. Am I still being heard? I don't hear myself. Hold up. Wait. Hold up. One moment. Am I still being heard?
is determined by the universal.
It's weird. Alright, we'll just continue. It seems like I can't hear myself still. So I don't know why I'm not hearing me here. Looking at the live. Okay, let's continue.
The law of cause and effect. Every action as determined of a reaction caused by an initial reaction is simply the effect of a reaction caused by an initial reaction, as is determined by the universal law of cause and effect. Every action has a reaction. We can eliminate every dis-ease in existence by simply knowing the initial action that caused the reaction, then taking action to effect the original defective action. Prevention is not better than the cure. Prevention is the cure. However, this is easier said than done. One cannot prevent something without pre-eventual knowledge of its cause and effect. Once again, knowledge is the key. Knowledge is simply intelligent information. And like I said earlier, intelligence is the sum total of pure intent, heart, plus a healthy mind, brain, plus virtuous action. Naturally, as you can see, the mind and physical body are separate entities that have a symbiotic relationship, even though they are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Physical body is matter. The mind is ether, plasma, electromagnetism. It's more intangible. Visible, it could become visible, but it's still kind of an intangible because you can't really touch it, but you could feel the effects of it. Gas, the difference between plasma and gas is that plasma is intelligent gas. Gas is just movement of particles that has been distanced. Plasma is intelligent gas that has positive and negative charge that produces a conscious movement. Gas is like the dead version of plasma.
One being physical and the other metaphysical. Ironically, whilst the physical appears to be real, it is in fact not. It only appears so whilst we are within this physical plane of existence. The physical is a holographic illusion created and only perceived through the mind. Hence my opening statement, all is mind. However, paradoxically, the physical is in fact also real in a different context, because it allows the mind to objectively express and experience itself. A good comparative example, once again, is
electromagnetism.
A hardware computer without
male,
software
female, phallus,
information is useless.
and womb.
And likewise, software information without hardware output is pointless. The physical hardware we call our body has a use, which is to give the software, which is our mind, a point. The point of the mind is to use the body, which in turn allows our conscious energy to objectively and subjectively experience itself simultaneously. Why? Well, why not? After all, existence without experience is pointless. Therefore, the point of existence is experience. Experience naturally evokes a process of learning, and learning implies expansion and growth. Growth, of course, is the process of something moving from one point to another. And
Life is about growth and development, what I always tell you. Build your light for the tests in life. Never give up, never let up. That's what's up. You know what time it is? So push forward, elevate your mind in the sun, and rise. Master the elements.
that is the point. But now we ask the questions. As humans, what are we growing from point A and growing to point B? And how does this process of expansion and growth transpire? Well, the short answer is the soul system. The soul. So, what is the soul system? And how does it tie into all of this? Well, the soul is literally right in the middle of it all. Let me explain. Firstly, the word soul is in close relation to the celestial solar system above our heads, as well as the soles of our feet that keep us grounded. It's also interesting that in the English language, when something has served its purpose, it must be sold, a process in which the exchange of currency allows something to move from point A to point B.
What is currency? It's all about electromagnetism, brothers and sisters. Current in the C. C represents the flow of how charge, voltage, current moves. That's why you gotta stay hydrated. And the more minerals you have in there, the more conductive, meaning the faster that energy moves. If you have a faster flow of energy, you have a smarter cellular intelligence network, more intelligent cellular intelligence network. You have a more athletic body, or you have a more powerful mental prowess that can perform acrobatics at a higher level.
Break it down, Supreme. This is why you're the Supreme Intelligence, Supreme. This guy arrogant. I can't listen to this guy. He too arrogant. He needs to calm and humble himself.
Bear this in mind as we go along. Now, there is much contention about what a soul actually is. However, most proponents suggest that the soul is basically our consciousness, and I would tend to agree to a degree. Consciousness is not the soul. Consciousness is within the soul. The soul is the bridge that links the metaphysical to the physical. Conscious energy to physical matter. Just like how computers have silicon as a conductor to connect software information to the hardware mainframe. Similarly, humans have something we call the soul that connects and bridges the conscious mind to the physical body. The soul is the silicon of a human being. Naturally, because the soul is the bridge between the physical and metaphysical, it must have properties to accommodate both elements. Therefore, a soul by nature must be malleable with physical qualities within a metaphysical state. The only element in the universe with such transitional qualities is plasma. So, before we delve into the soul, we must first understand plasma. It is now well established that plasma is the most abundant substance in the universe. In fact, over 99% of matter in the visible universe is believed to be plasma. Plasma is a form also called a state of matter. The three other common states of matter are solids, liquids, and gases. So plasma is sometimes referred to as the fourth state of matter.
Come on.
Plasma is created by adding energy to a gas, so its atoms and molecules separate into negatively charged electrons and positively charged ions.
So in other words, conscious gases, as I said earlier.
This process is called ionization. It's also interesting that plasma is said to be a better conductor of electricity than even copper. Unlike the other states of matter, the charged particles in plasma will react strongly to electric and magnetic fields, or rather electromagnetic fields. If a plasma loses heat, the ions will reform into a gas. When the atoms in the gas are broken up, the pieces are called electrons and ions. Because these pieces have an electric charge, they are pulled together or pushed apart by electric and magnetic fields. This makes a plasma act differently from a gas. For example, magnetic fields can be used to hold a plasma, but not to hold a gas. Stars, including the sun and moon, are most likely made of plasma. On Earth, Lightning
Yep. Sun is plasma. Lightning is a form of plasma. Water can be plasma as long as it goes into its gel state, it forms plasma. What else? Fire is plasma. Those are plasmas.
creates a strong plasmic discharge, thus grounding etheric plasma from the
When you see fog, fog is gas. When it's charged with lightning and all that, that's when it begins to form plasma.
plasmic electromagnetic torus field dome above us to the earthly plane below. This plane of our Earth is indeed contained within an electromagnetic plasmic torus field, what some might call the dome. In fact, our entire universe is contained within an electromagnetic plasmic torus field, what many ancient cultures called the cosmic egg. I also propose
Torus field is an electromagnetic wave or bubble that surrounds the Earth. When they say the Earth is spinning, it's not the land of the Earth that's spinning, it's the torus field that is spinning. The electromagnetic field that makes the Earth round is spinning. The land itself is not spinning. The land is what? Flat earthers say what? It's flat. The dome is the thing that's spinning at 1,000+ miles per hour, they say. Whatever the speed of the torus field or the electromagnetic field is moving at. That is the spinning, not the actual land. The land is probably swaying a bit because of when the water moves, because the water holds the land up. So when the water moves, the land is moving slowly, and then when cataclysms come, that's when continents get separated and moved. Because there's an educated theory that says all the continents used to be one. And then through different changing in cycles of seasons, earthquakes, it separated the continents, and then the seas, as it was rippling and forming tidal waves, it moved the lands and separated it. And the lands started to flow away from each other. That's the only time it really moves in a way that we can actually feel. When you feel an earthquake, that's when we feel the lands move. Otherwise, the movement of the lands is so subtle, so small, you don't really notice it because the waters are carrying it. But when a significant event like an earthquake and cataclysm, that's when you're really going to feel the earth moving. But generally speaking, the land isn't moving. It's the torus field that they're talking about that's around the whole planet is moving at that ridiculous speed that they say that it's moving at.
the Earth is a vast plain of land, currently divided into 5 concentric realms or dimensions. 4 of these 5 realms or dimensions are each concentrically cocooned within their own electromagnetic plasmic torus field. Within our realm, we can actually partially see 2 of these electromagnetic plasmic torus fields. The Aurora Borealis cocooning the North Polar Realm, and the Aurora Australis cocooning our realm around the South Polar Rim.
And those waves that you see at those northern and southern points of the electromagnetic field are moving at that 1,000+, whatever speed they tell us that it's moving. Those are moving at that speed, not the Earth itself, the land itself. Because our common sense tells us that the land is not moving. The only time we know the land is moving is when we actually have an earthquake. Then we know the land is moving.
Naturally, each of these realms have their own electromagnetic plasmic solar systems, just like we have our electric sun and magnetic moon. The very core center of our Earth is a dielectric realm with dipolaric energy. We might call this the magnetic north. Modern science would refer to this as the black hole region of counter space. It is referred to as a holy mountain of Earth in many religious and mythological scriptures. Mount Meru, Mount Olympus, Mount Zion, etc., etc. I prefer to call it the earthly place or den of pure dipolarized etheric energy, the etheric den, or Eden in short. The next realm beyond the Eden center is what we might call the Garden of Eden. From our perspective, this is the realm located beyond our Arctic North Polar Rim, where we see the Aurora Borealis plasmic dome. Modern science calls this the magnetosphere. This realm has an androgynous solar system, Mercury, which is an electromagnetic plasmic sun and moon in one, sometimes known as the Black Sun. This bipolaric solar system creates an ultraviolet bioluminescent twilight atmosphere within this realm. I hypothesize that the atmosphere in this realm is highly ionized comparative to the air in our realm. In our realm, we have our electric plasma sun and magnetic plasma moon, both of which create the three-dimensional photonic atmosphere we experience within this dimension. The realm beyond our Antarctic South Polar Rim has Mars as its electric plasma sun and Venus as its magnetic plasma moon. And the realm beyond that has Saturn as its electric sun and Jupiter as its magnetic moon. Above the Earth plane, with its various plasmic electromagnetic torus fields and solar systems, is the etheric planes, also known as the firmament or heavens. This is where we find the star systems and other such celestial bodies of energy.
The core of consciousness, melanin, which you learned the other day with melanin sciences. Melanin connects you to the all. Wake up.
Also find it interesting that modern science says the stars contain very high pressurized plasma, and the space within the celestial etheric field contains very low pressurized plasma. Now, as you can see, plasma is a core element that holds our entire universe together. Plasma is everywhere and in everything in various quantities, forms and structure. It's in plants, water, the air, and even humans. In fact, the human form is predominantly made up of plasma. Modern science says the male body is made up of 55% plasma, and the female body contains 60% plasma on average. In humans, plasma can be found as a diffused liquid in our blood that helps carry blood cells around the body. Plasma in the body is made up of water and 13 other life-sustaining compounds. Plasma does not have a definitive color. It can emit all colors across the full spectrum of light, dependent on the level of ionized energy. Different waveforms of photons are emitted for different levels of energy. However, within the body, nitrogen is key to understanding the structure of bodily plasma. Nitrogen, represented by the symbol N, is an important part of our bodies. Nitrogen is absorbed directly from air or soil. We absorb it best from green plants and microbes that convert it into a usable form for humans, what is called a fixed reactive form. Nitrogen is the agent that builds amino acids in our body, which in turn makes proteins. It is also needed to make nucleic acids, which form DNA and RNA. Plasma in the human body is usually yellow, a good example of low-energy nitrogen plasma. Low-energy nitrogen creates yellow plasma, and high nitrogen creates violet plasma. Violet is the color at the end of the visible spectrum of light between blue and the invisible ultraviolet. The aurora torus fields have mixed plasma energy of oxygen and nitrogen in varied energy levels. It is what gives them their ultra spectrum of colors, but predominantly green, red, yellow, purple and blue. However, plasma in its purest form appears mainly in two colors, red and blue. These colors come from the main fuel for pure universal plasma, which is hydrogen. Just like plasma is the most abundant state of matter in the universe, hydrogen as atomic H is the most abundant chemical element in the universe. Now, as you can see, it is evident that electrons, ions, nitrogen internal, and hydrogen external are key core ingredients to further understanding human plasma that houses conscious energy we call the human soul.
Mind power here.
This human plasmic inner body is what we might call our light bodies. Ascension is simply the chemical process of one transmuting their inner plasmic body from physical red blood to pure plasmic violet blue light, merging from red to blue to become ultraviolet. This is what past alchemists referred to as turning lead to gold. This alchemical process is also what we might call freeing one's soul. Remember, like I said, a soul is simply our inner plasmic light body that houses our consciousness. This inner solar plasmic body is called a soul as it is grounded to the earth through the soles of our feet and nourished by the solar systems rotating above our heads.
That's why you gotta be grounded to the earth. That's why you gotta be connected to the sun. That's why you gotta stay hydrated. That's why you gotta be consistently breathing. Those are the main elements that make up the foundation of life. Remember, 4 is the pillars that make up the structure of life. That's why that's why it's one of the sacred numbers. It's responsible for, it's the foundation of life itself. Everything is made up with the structure of 4. Height, length, width, depth. The 4 pillars that hold life together.
This freeing of one's soul can only be achieved firstly by us understanding what a soul is, its properties and structure, which we now know, of course, is plasma. We must then take virtuous action to purify and expand our solar plasmic light bodies. This virtuous action requires physical protocols from the outside in. Inner freedom begins with outward expression. All the ingredients we need to do
Major
this
key.
are found around us in nature.
Master key.
Direct sources include the sun. The sun gives us hydrogen electric energy. We can absorb this energy by regularly sun gazing or sunbathing. 2. The moon. The moon gives us magnetic energy in the form of ions. During a full moon, there is an increase in positive ion ratios, which in turn has an effect on human psychological behavior. This is a time where the positive ions in the air outnumber the negative ions by a ratio of over 3 to 1. Moon meditation in moonlight is crucial. 3. Food. Plants, fruits, vegetables and herbs contain electromagnetic photonic light in the form of nitrogen. It is crucial we consume as much.
And sugar. Sugar is condensed, crystallized, dynamic light spectrum matter. Photosynthesis, converting light and combining light into a form. Photo is light. Synthesis means to combine. Synthetic, synthesis is combined together, fused together. Artificial is taking the physical matter and shaping it to another form of art, another work of art. You see how these words are connecting?
Much of a raw plant-based diet as possible, preferably organic. Of course, it goes without saying, GMO plants have less electromagnetic for
The reason you want organic because it's made with natural soil that has carbon in it. Carbon is the bonding molecule. It makes a whole, complete structure that is not broken. When you have inorganic stuff, the structure is weak. It has genetic weaknesses. It has a structure that is not in tune with your body. That's why it could cause potential problems in your body. That's what Dr. Sabi always said. It doesn't have a complete structure. A fake plant, a man-made plant, in most cases, don't have a complete structure as the original plants do. It usually has a weakness in it.
photonic light than organic plants. And chemical nitrogen is obviously not as effective as natural nitrogen. Water. We must drink as much hydrogenated water as possible. Water is most hydrogenated when it is distilled. Lightning naturally distills water out in nature. And
pH, right? Everybody likes to talk about the alkaline way, the alkaline lifestyle. pH, potential hydrogen. When we're talking about hydrogen or alkalinity, we're talking about charge, positive charge. Acidic is negative charge. So when you eat too much acidic foods that take away your charge, we need acids to break down food to access the energy, to access the minerals. But then when we use the opposite, catabolic process, metabolic process, and then we have to use anabolic metabolic process to build the body back up. And then that end result, you become alkaline, around 7.3 to 7.5, which we discussed yesterday on the Divine Vitality, Holistic Health and Wellness teaching.
fortunately, chemtrails and pollutions make water still and not distilled. Water can easily be distilled by using mechanical and or natural distillers and various distillation processes.
Or rain.
Of course, it goes without saying that we should all stay away from unnatural chemicals that might be absorbed into the plasmic bloodstream. Following these simple, natural, virtuous actions allows our inner plasmic light bodies to begin the dye process. Dye-stilling or distilling our plasmic blood, thereby diffusing or diffusing impurities, which then creates a dielectric, difference or difference, merging from red to blue shift. I must stress again that diet is integral to the dye process. These alchemical changes will also begin to rewrite our plasmic genetic DNA code from carnal to spirit, dense to light. The alchemical change is not an instant one right now, although we will begin to see and feel the genetic changes through our outward physical being. For instance, weight loss, ease of dis-ease, and general healthy well-being. The real changes happening within will only manifest outwardly during the coming plasmic event. During the coming event, the ethereal plasmic discharge from the electromagnetic field above us will activate dormant DNA in those who are prepared for this pairing discharge. During the plasmic event, the plasmic discharge will rapture our plasma light bodies from our dense carnal bodies. Our consciousness will no longer be souls to the earth. We will become free souls with pure angles of ultraviolet light, or angels in short. We could also say one becomes a whole spirit, or Holy Spirit, or Holy Ghost if you like. This plasmic state of being will allow us, our consciousness, to freely transverse between the different earthly realms and dimensions. This alchemical process is rare and unique in that it allows one's consciousness to leave the carnal physical body and ascend into a new experience without having to go through the reincarnation amnesia process. We only reincarnate because our mind, consciousness, and soul, plasmic inner body, are so damaged or polarized that they have to go into dipolaric counterspace to be recharged.
Breaking the sin. Because you're sinning. You broke the sin, the sine wave, the electromagnetic movement. Are you getting it? Are you catching on? Claim your power back. You should be liking the video, sharing the video. If you hear, you should be liking the video, sharing the video. You're getting the most powerful information on YouTube. There's nothing higher than this. You're getting what this life is about. I broke this down thoroughly. Martin Kenny's going back. I'm going back and forth. Martin Kenny, breaking this down, making a complete temple for you. I'm making a complete sacred temple for you to see the scriptures and what's really going on all angles of light. I got my power picture presentation going on. I got Martin teaching. I got myself teaching. I got my power symbols and signs and symbols all around that's teaching you. Even though you don't perceive the teaching in some of these things, it's teaching you. You will eventually catch on. As you watch this video over and over again, you're going to catch on eventually. There's not one person on this YouTube more powerful than what you see here with this information here. That's not arrogance. That is the truth. You getting taught. I don't have to say nothing. Just me sitting here amongst the signs and symbols and images, you're getting taught supreme knowledge and information. This is going. Power picture presentation. You're hearing Martin build. You're hearing me build.
They are polarized or damaged due to unhealthy karmic action. Karma is our K armor. K is for knowledge. We must arm ourselves with healthy knowledge to have good karma. Unhealthy or bad karmic transmutation, death, is very traumatic for the conscious mind, which...
And that's why you die. Death style. It's about a lifestyle. Livets, not diets. In the shadow form of the word. In the positive side of the word, as Martin was breaking down, you heard what Martin said in the positive perspective of the word. There's light side of words, shadow side of words. I've already told you already, long ago. There's a shadow side to words and a light side to words. When you look at diet, it's usually that you're eating death foods. You're operating in a poor way. It's about livets, building your light. So we got to change the way we see things. Build your light, and that's life. You want to be alive, not dead asleep. You want to be alive. That's building your light, shining bright, standing strong on the foundation of truth with strong might. Ancient knowledge and wisdom in the ancient temple of organic temple. We're building, brothers and sisters.
Is the root cause of reincarnation amnesia. The natural way to transmute is meant to happen in stages. First, the conscious mind and plasma light body must detach from the physical body. Then, next, the conscious mind can then detach from the plasma light body if so required. By us depolarizing ourselves here on earth, we are in fact beating death, and thereby taking control of our own conscious destiny and our soul's destination. This is what is meant by sayings like one having their own sphere of destiny, or the truth, intelligent knowledge shall set us free. I, for one, am looking forward to transcending into an ultraviolet blue being and ascending into the next school.
Bing, bing, bing!
North Polar Twilight Zone Garden of the Ether Den. In conclusion, it's interesting that in the Bhagavad Gita, evidence again supports a very ancient race of blue-skinned people.
Let me stop it right there for a moment before he transitions to something else. Let me stop it one moment from here. To add on to the light side and the shadow side of words, when we look at blackness and think about blackness, in this European culture, they like to put blackness as evil, as everything negative. Like I said, there's a shadow side to it and there's a light side of it. Sometimes I use the shadow side of darkness in this way. The masses operate in the darkness of ignorance. If we use the light side of the darkness or the blackness is actually the unity of the potential totality of everything. Sheesh. So the reality is, all energy, all light, all supreme intelligence comes out of the blackness. While at the same time, when we are operating in a limited physical state as a human, we have limits. That's why we have to grow and develop and break past our limits, break past our plateaus. We have limits in this form. So when we perceive darkness, we see it as we see it as ignorance because we cannot perceive what's in darkness. But in reality the fire of truth is blackness is the totality and the embodiment of all potential of all things that we see in the projection of the white light, which allows everything within the blackness, the potential of the blackness of possibilities to become kinetic, to become possible and viewable and discerned through the white light of the projection, which creates this reality that we're living in this division and this separation, this individuality, this ego, this competition. Light is competing for space. We're able to see different forms, different rhythms, patterns, systems, organizations, teams, oppositions, rivals, opponents, through this cipher of life. We are angles in the cipher of life. Angles of light in the cipher of life. Experiencing life subjectively. Learning to become objective again. Objective is a cipher. It's the totality of things. It is the supreme facts that never change. Supreme truth that never changes. It's about combining all perspectives in a life, collecting the pieces of the puzzle around the world and making the whole picture. That's what this is all about. Life is about growth and development. So let us transition to what Martin's saying, what he's talking about, I guess, ancient cultures and stuff. Let's see what he's saying here.
Evidence again supports a very ancient race of blue-skinned people through the stories of Lord Krishna.
Growth and development.
Similar to angels described in many theological scriptures, Krishna was described as being a demigod, blue avatar being. Shiva is also described as a dark blue demigod. And finally, I leave you with this. The Anishinaabe nation prophecy of the blue people. Anishinaabe means original people. It is a collective name for groups of indigenous people of the Americas. Anishinaabe people were commonly found in the sub-Arctic region of the Americas. Anishinaabe people have preserved their traditions to this day. The prophecy says, open quote, according to the prophecy, there are 4 groups of people: the red, the yellow, the black, and the white. Chief Kawarshin says that from today's youth, a new group of people will be born. The blue people of old will emerge. They will be tolerant of each other and will bring spirituality, harmony, and sacredness back to the earth. This will prepare the way for a rebirth of Mother Earth.
Clean up your mind. Brainwash yourself clean from the ignorance. Come on. meditate, red and blue purple like Prince, Prince, red and blue purple like Prince, Prince, red and blue purple, red and blue purple, red and blue purple. Red and blue purple like Prince, Prince. Fusion of colors, red and blue purple. Purple to black, red and blue purple to black. White light projection, reflection, refraction, deflection of all the color spectrums of Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. To black. The almighty oneness. All returns to one, one to all to one. All right, that's pretty much the conclusion to Brother Martin Kenny's build for that as it pertains to consciousness. So it was the supreme collaboration between Supreme Natural Intelligence, aka Natural Nathan, and Brother Martin Kenny's collaboration indirectly of the information of the purpose of life. What is consciousness and what is the purpose of life? Thorough breakdown. Now you know everything you need to know of life. There's nothing more to learn. You've been told everything you need to know. There's nothing more. We could go into more petty details, but it's not necessary. We covered everything all around. Martin broke it down his half. I broke down my half. We brought it together. We had a complete cipher build. We completed the cipher of life with our build. Everything else in between is just petty little details that don't really matter as much. You've got the foundation, you got the fundamentals of life itself, the purpose, why you're here. You're here to experience, you're here to learn and grow. You're here to understand, equal stand, overstand, and outer stand. This experience, this matrix, this simulation. You're here to transmute, to transform, to elevate, meditate, levitate into the other dimensions, to learn new experiences. Life is about growth and development. Fire burn facts, truth blazing, facts blazing, facts being manufactured in a factory. You know what time it is, my brothers and sisters. You gotta let the plasma of fire flow. You know what time it is. So anyways, since there's no questions I don't see in the chat, I'm putting this to a conclusion. That's the fire of truth. And nothing but the whole, living, unified truth. My brothers and sisters, as always, awaken your mind and get your behind back to the organic internet mainframe of Almighty Nature, which is the collective consciousness, the unified field of the divine, the great vine, derived from the vine in which you get your true information, knowledge, wisdom, and supreme intelligence from. Listen to reason, rays from the sun, the real sun, and listen to wisdom. My brothers and sisters, govern your wizard's domain. Wizard manages, administers, regulates the domain with source energy, source knowledge. Become a sorcerer, an alchemist, turning lead into gold, turning the bad situations that challenge you and taking advantage of it to make yourself better, to overcome your weaknesses, debilitations, and your demons. You're here to become better. You're here to defeat the 7 deadly sins that act as demons within you. You're here to get to the middle path, the narrow way to life, as Yahushua, Jesus, Yeshaya, Buddha said. Equilibrium, intellectual balance, homeostasis is what it's all about, what life is all about. Learning how to deal with the extremes, the polarities of life. They're there to challenge you, to compete with you, in order to inspire you, to encourage you, to make you better. This is what life is about. Facts. Like I said, I warmly invite you to rewatch the video over and over again until it sinks in. This is the supreme information. Nothing's higher than this. This is not arrogance, it's just facts, it's truth. We broke this down from the very beginning to what it is now, in a summarized way within the 2 hours. So you're going to have to watch it over and over to get what's being said if you didn't get it. You got to deprogram yourself from the ignorance that you have been taught in school. Deprogram yourself, clean your brain, brainwash. The future belongs to those who unlearn the ignorance, relearn knowledge and wisdom. Unlearn more ignorance, relearn knowledge and wisdom. And live it out, practice. Spirituality, religion, morals, principles, structure, order. Self-discipline, self-control, self-esteem, experience. And win. Look within to win. If you ain't right within, how you gonna win? Lauryn Hill said. Look within to win. So as I said, connect with the organic internet mainframe of Almighty Nature, which is the source, the roots of all things. Anyways, my brothers and sisters, let's put this to a close. I don't see no questions in the chat. So now you guys have a lot of homework to do, a lot of re-listening to do to get this, to let this sink in. So anyways, I'm putting this to conclusion, my brothers and sisters, if there's no questions. Lightspark says, how can we experience what Martin was talking about, the light body? You got to start with the basics, brothers and sisters. You got to get to the basics. I always tell you, reconnect with nature. That's how you're going to begin to experience. Meditate, elevate, levitate. Be one with nature. You got to go back to the simple basics. It's all basic and simple. Don't complicate it. Get back to basic and simple. Everything is provided for you to grow and develop and to connect to the all. See that? Go to the trees and connect. Become one with your environment. And this is how you develop and build your light. Get connected with the sun in nature. Meditate, elevate, levitate. Ground yourself to the earth, barefoot. Learn to be alone. You don't need everybody else distracting you. Learn to be alone. Alone means to be all one. Separate all and one. All one means to be unified. Taking your power back. Learning self-discipline. Self-esteem. Self-control. Stop being scared of being alone. You need to be unified with yourself. You can't unify with nobody else until you unify with yourself. Learn to be alone. Learn to solar gaze. Learn to have a relationship with the sun. Have a relationship with the earth. Have a relationship with the elements. Earth, wind, fire, water. Go into a cavern, a cave. Learn to embrace the darkness and be one. Because that's where all the infinite intelligence is. The supreme intelligence is in that darkness. All the infinite intelligence will come to you. And then when you walk into the light, all that knowledge will be compartmentalized for you. And then you will start to see things. Because the light will reveal what's in the darkness. The light will reveal what's in the darkness. That's why monks go into a dark cave to meditate for several days in completed darkness. All their senses are lost. You learn to be one again. That's how you get in touch with your higher consciousness and self. It's a simple practice. You think you have to do something complicated to get... No, it's not complicated. What do monks do? What do ancient martial artists do? They go to a dark cave, they train in there, and they discipline themselves. They learn to get rid of their fear. They learn to be one with the environment, one with the ecosystem, in the darkness, and then they come out of the light. And then when the light shines upon them, then they're really starting to see the clarity of information. Because they embraced all of the darkness, the cosmic energy of the darkness, of the infinite dark matter. And then when they get into the light, their body begins to digest this information because it exposes, it decrypts the information from the darkness. You're getting the information decrypted when you receive the light. It allows you to see what's going on. Because in infinite blackness, you don't know nothing. All you could do is sit there and just absorb and just be a listener, a conduit of everything. Even though you don't comprehend it at the time, you won't comprehend it until you get into the sun, until you get into the moon, and then you get into the light and you receive the information, and then it's going to become decrypted as you become connected with, have a relationship with the trees, the plants, the animals around you. This is simple. It's not hard. You just got to do it consistently. You got to learn to control your mind, your monkey mind. That Asians like to say, right? Control the monkey mind. It's always thinking about stuff that is not important. Focus on you. Focus on growth and development. That's the only thing you should be concerning yourself. How am I gonna get rid of these weaknesses that I have? These fallbacks that I have in my system. How am I gonna get stronger? You gotta work, right? Light sparks, you like working out. That's one way to make yourself better. You do it in all aspects of life. How am I gonna do better in this? I have a weakness in this thing. How am I gonna get better? Then you gotta practice it. You gotta do it in repetition. You gotta use, if you're weak with your left hand, you gotta use your left hand. If you're weak with your right hand, you gotta use your right hand. That's how you become ambidextrous. That's how you become the two opposites, bringing a complete cipher. That's how you bring the two halves and make a whole. Fire burn facts, truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts be manufactured in a factory. Any suggestion on meditate? Do whatever is best to make you focus. Meditation is not, you don't have to meditate by sitting down with your legs crossed and just sit there. You could stand if you're more comfortable standing, if you're more comfortable with lying down, if you're more comfortable in walking and just focusing on yourself. Meditation is not necessarily this. Meditation is just about this. Meditation is about self-control, self-discipline, and self-esteem. You don't have to be still to meditate. You could be working out and meditate. You could be doing your push-ups and meditating. It doesn't have to be stillness. It's the discipline to control yourself. That's what meditation is all about. The discipline to control yourself. It's razor-sharp focus on one thing at a time. That's what meditation is. Razor-sharp focus on one thing at a time. One thought at a time. Putting your best 100% effort into that one thing at a time to bring the best results out. Self-control, self-discipline, self-esteem. That's what religion teaches you. Everybody says, oh, I don't want to be a religion. I don't want to put myself in a box. Religion teaches you self-control, self-discipline, self-esteem, moral principles. The reason why you're crazy and you call, oh, I'm a free thinker. I flow whatever I want to flow. No, that's why you get yourself in trouble. It gotta be regulated. It gotta be controlled. This is why the masses are immature. They think they can do everything they want. They're immature. They don't have knowledge of self. Because they don't understand religion, they don't understand spirituality. It's two opposites that make one. You got to use the two for your growth and development. If you just act reckless, oh, I just deal with energy movement, I just flow anywhere I want to flow, that's spirituality. No. You got to be careful where you flow. Be careful with the frequencies that you attune yourself with. You cannot just be spiritual like a damn fool and flow anywhere you want. You got to be careful with energies you deal with. You got people that have evil intentions against you. You don't go connect with them and spiritually connect and flow with them. No, you got to use discipline. You got to use religion. You got to use the structure and order, the boundaries. No, this guy has bad intention. I can't go there. No, it's not good for me. Sometimes you're going to have to go through challenges in life. You got to use wisdom. You got to use knowledge, and you got to grow. It's there to challenge you, to make you better, to make you rise. Push forward, look at the sun and rise. Unlearn the ignorance, you must. Fire burn facts. How to defeat death. Don't worry about death. Focus on your life. You build your light to avoid death. You heard Martin speak. Rewind the video, watch the video over and over again so you learn. Focus on building your light. That's what you need to focus on. Focus on eating right, to think right, to know right, to live right. That's what you need to be focusing on. Don't worry about death. Death will come when it comes. That depends on where you at. Rewind the video, learn. I heard about transcendental meditation. What are your thoughts on that? I have no specific thoughts on that. The only thing that matters is what I told you. Focus on yourself. Transcendental is just elevating your mind. I just broke it down for you. You elevate your mind by connecting to the source. Learning that everything you see in life is just a projection of you, a reflection of you, a deflection of you, a refraction of you. Your only enemy is you. Or I. I and I. Everything is I in a different angle of light. Everything is I, the I and I, the Rastas say, the I and I. Everything is the I and I. It's a different angle of light. Whether it's an opposition or whether it's your teammate. The vibration and rhythm and frequency, it depends on that. If they flow with you, that's your teammate, that's your family, that's your friend. If they have completely opposite movement to you, that could be considered your enemy, your opposite polarity, to challenge you to make you better. The obstacles, barriers, your demons, that's the obstacle to make you better. Just as the demons' energies, the demons' enemies are the angels, the opposite side. In order for the demons to get better, they got to be challenged by the angels. In order for the angels to get better, they got to be challenged by the demons. Good got to be challenged by evil. Evil got to be challenged by good. You both work together so you elevate the consciousness overall. You're here to experience. Life is about growth and development. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, brothers and sisters. Holistic pure peace, pure power, and pure elevation. This is what it's all about. Mind power. And I leave you with this. Birds to the wise. Focus on you, Light Sparks, and everybody in chat. Solar God, Brother Ahmed, and everybody else that is in the chat hiding in the shadows. Focus on you. One thought at a time, raise a sharp focus. Focus on how you're going to make yourself better. That's the only thing that matters. How are you going to make yourself better in all aspects of life? How are you going to make yourself better? How am I going to make myself better? Is the question that only matters. How am I going to make myself better to make everybody else better? Let us compete to make ourselves better. Competition is used in that